What's going on, guys? Gridsquare here, and today I want to talk to you about if you should dual or single PC stream in 2019 going into 2020. Now, this has been a long, I don't want to say debated topic with streamers and content creators since, streaming's been out for Twitch, and now Mixer's picking up since they acquired Ninja, and so all these different companies and ways to do your stream. I mean, heck, Facebook's picking up, there's people that do YouTube live streaming. You have all these platforms to put your content on stream-wise, but you still need to do it from your house. So how do you do it from a single PC, or do you want to be super cool and do the dual PC setup, which is going to take the stress off your gaming PC? Right now we're going to start with the single PC setup because it's single PC, it's easier, however it might cost you more money. If you have an RTX graphics card, and I was resilient to this at first because I had a dual 1080 setup at first. Companies they don't support SLI anymore, which was unfortunate because that forced us to go from SLI cards. Now we've got to go to these RTX things if you want to stay current, which kind of sucks, but that's the business model that NVIDIA is going with, and unfortunately it just screws over the consumer, but that's not the point of the video. So if you have the money, an RTX card, if you're a streamer, an RTX card is worth it. If you would have talked to me a year ago, I did argue that point. Then I say, no, you don't need an RTX card to stream. You just have, if you're going to do a single PC setup, and this is still true to this day, you can get a regular graphics card, like a 1080 or whatever. You can have whatever graphics card in your main slot, and that'll run your game pretty well. And you can buy a cheap $30 to $50 used NVIDIA graphics card from like 5 generations ago, and I did a video on this. You can check it out. I'll link it at the end. But you can go and find like what cheap old graphics cards have shadow play enabled or whatnot, and that means it has the ability to encode NVENC, encoding. So you can actually have that second graphics card, that cheap $50 graphics card, and you're not running SLI because it's a different thing. But you can have your computer encode your stream off of that graphics card instead of your CPU and your main graphics card. That is still true to this day. So once again, if you're going to be a single PC and you don't want to jump into however like a 2080 Ti, $1,500 price tag, if you don't want to go that, you can still get a $500 graphics card and a $50 graphics card to run your stream, and it will not tax your CPU. Like it'll use like 2% of your CPU to run OBS or whatever. I've always been an Intel fanboy until this day and age, because now we have this new Ryzen series 3000, which has all kinds of cores and a very decent clock speed. And not only that, but these new, because I've got one sitting over here, 570 motherboards that handle PCI 4.0, which is double the bandwidth. And granted, like I'm not going to have anything that is going to use that kind of bandwidth, but once again, I don't like the word overkill, because who needs a 16-core processor, for streaming? I don't look at that as overkill. I look at that as I'm future-proofing, because I don't need a 16-core processor, but I've got $750 sitting aside waiting to pre-order that son of a bitch because I want it. Will I fully use it? God, I don't know. I don't know how long does it take to, we'll see if I can encode a video or, on Handbrake or whatever. When I do my YouTube stuff, that's really the only thing I'm going to use, is just when I'm creating my videos, it'll just render it faster. But I don't know what's going to happen 3 or 4 years down the road with these games, because if you look at Battlefield 5, more and more of these titles coming out this last year in 2019, these things are starting to tax CPUs a little bit more. They're using more cores and more threads to run these games. So it's one of those things, I'm just kind of looking to the future that, hey, you know what, maybe some of these games will be able to tap into all your cores or something. And I just want it to run that much better, because if you look at the numbers, if you benchmark a 9900K with, I think, the 3700 from AMD's new Ryzens, Intel still has AMD beat when it comes to the clock speed. Like I said, overclocking all your cores to 5 gigahertz is kind of Intel's thing. It's pretty easy to do. You're not going to see that on these new AMD processors yet. I think the world record holders did one with liquid nitrogen, and they got 16 cores or whatever to 5 something gigahertz. So if you're looking for just straight clock speed, Intel's going to be your winner on that. And that's really only good for gaming. But as far as content creation, if you do anything else besides just gaming, you would be a fool to not consider this new Ryzen 9s, because 16 cores, 12 cores, 10 cores, you can do so much with that. Because, I mean, especially single PC streamers. Let me go ahead and emphasize, this is still the single PC part of the video. If you're a single PC streamer, I mean, why would you not get a 16? I mean, I can't wait. I cannot wait for this thing to come out so I can, replace my Intel and just see what it does. Because, granted, I have a 2080 Ti, so my stream is still encoded on my graphics card. Its CPU is not even worried about that. But it's still like I can now have more things open. I can run my Streamlabs OBS. I can have all these things going with the game, and I know it's not taxing. Because there are some times with my single PC setup, like I was trying to run Gears 5 the other day. I was running Gears 5, 144 frames a second. I had everything turned up, and I was trying to stream it, and then have my camera going, and then some effects. And I noticed, when I was doing some transitional stuff on Twitch, it started to choke a little bit on certain things. And I was like, so back to the original thing. For single PC, I mean, Intel is really good. Intel is good. 2080s are good. But I just can't see, if you're going to stay in the single PC world, why not get more cores? Because honestly, you're just going to be able to do more things with it now and then later. So me personally, I've kind of been straying away from streaming and going into content creation with YouTube and stuff. It's just, I've been enjoying it, getting a new camera. I'm playing where I'm learning with it. But I want to get back into it. And with doing these videos, I've noticed, when you record in 1440p or even like with 4K videos, that is a lot of data. All right, a 4K video, even at 24 frames per second, that is a large file after like a 15-20 minute video. And then editing and then rendering that and doing effects, that takes up some juice. So the more cores I have that can handle that load to process and render the video means the quicker I can upload it to YouTube, and it just makes life easier. I mean, more cores isn't necessary compared to really, an average person doesn't even really need more than a quad-core processor. Even an extreme gamer, you don't need more than an 8-core processor. But once again, I look at overkill as future-proofing. Do I need 16 cores? Hell to the nah. I just want it in case I might need it one day. With these new AMD processors dropping, especially whenever they let the pre-order for the 3950 come out, which I think is the end of the month. We're still speculating that. But if you had $2,000 sitting around, or say you had a lot of money and you were going to buy either one really good PC or a decent PC and then a streaming PC, whatever your situation is, if you're just going to be going into streaming for the first time, my personal recommendation is going to be the single PC setup with these new processors. Even a 9900K. If you stick with a 9700 or a 9900K with Intel, you're going to be fine on a single PC setup. Dual PC streaming. This is a whole nother monster. And the problem with getting into this and trying to make this a simplified explanation, because there's so many variables that go into this. Dual PC streaming is basically, you have a gaming PC and you want to send your video and your audio from your mic to your streaming PC, which will then take all those signals, encode them, and send them to Twitch or whatever content website you guys are sending your stuff to. You do not need a capture card to dual PC stream. I just want to throw it out there right now before, I know you guys have probably done your research. If you're thinking about dual PC streaming, you have likely already looked into getting an AverMedia or an Elgato capture card to do your thing. If you're using a dual PC setup, that is not necessary. Now let me backtrack on that real quick. If you were a PC gamer who is going to stream PC games, you do not need a capture card. If you're a console gamer, you are going to need something to capture that signal. And for that, yes, you'd get like the Elgato Camlink 4K. I think it's $120. I just got mine a couple weeks ago for my new camera. It was $120. I mean, you can find it on Amazon. It works fantastic. It's very easy to use. Can't go wrong with that. But that's because I'm running that. And if you're a console streamer, you will need to invest in one of those. But it's not an expensive upgrade to be able to capture, 4K video at 30 frames a second. That's That's pretty decent. I mean, that little USB stick is going to capture a 4K signal, you know. But honestly, you're not going to stream in 4K, so you basically need to have your signal set to 1080p, 60 frames a second, you know. But that's a whole nother. I'm not going to get into that. So you do not need one of these fancy capture cards that goes into. I mean, they're $300-400. I think the new Elgato's newest 4K capture card, I think they dropped it like $250 or $300. I mean, they dropped the price to be very competitive, but you still don't need to spend a dime on a capture card. If you're a PC gamer, the only thing you're gonna, I mean, no, because you should already have 2 Ethernet cords plugged into your modem if you're doing it. So that's it. All you need is Ethernet cord to run an NDI signal. NDI, November Delta India. And I'm not going to go into the technical specs of that. You can Google that and do your own homework. But basically, NDI is what like sportscasting and like news people, like if you think about it, when you go watch a football game or sports, you know, they have all these different camera angles. Well, how do you think they take all those signals and then process them at the main hub and then pick which, you know, you got to think that's a lot. And they're recording in like 4 or 8K, you know, with these fancy cameras. That's a lot of data coming downstream. It's using Ethernet technology to do that. It's network cabling that's moving that signal back and forth. All right, it's nothing fancy. It's not an HDMI 9.0 future thing. It's an Ethernet cable. It's that easy. So what NDI is, and you can, matter of fact, I believe OBS had, yeah, OBS and Streamlabs OBS have the capability to read this now. So what you would do to set this up is on your gaming PC, you're going to download the NDI, not an app, but basically it's a program, and it uses almost no resources. So you download it from the NDI website or whatever. It's going to take your game signal, and then it's going to go to your monitor, and then it's going to send it through the Ethernet cable to wherever you tell it to go to, and it'll go to your streaming PC, and it will pick up that signal with no lag. I mean, I stress tested every game I could think of at the highest graphics settings, and there was no lag with the NDI. I mean, you're not going to get that with a capture card. Like, even these fancy $300-400 capture cards that do 4K, sometimes there is some lag depending on what you got going on. NDI, because it's a whole other technology. I'm not going to get into the tech specs. 0 lag. I mean, you can't beat it. But for whatever reason, they don't talk about this much because it doesn't make these capture card companies money. So a lot of streamers won't tell you about this because they're sponsored by Elgato or Evermedia, and you're not making them dollars when you're not buying the stuff they recommend. But guess what? I don't give a shit about any of that because I'm not getting paid by anybody. So NDI, all you need is the Ethernet cable, and there are a couple streamers out there who use NDI that will tell you about it, and it's so easy to set up. All you need is your Streamlabs or OBS on your streaming PC, and they have NDI hookup built in, so it will detect the NDI signal and then boop, pops up, and you can stream it. And it's wonderful. It works. It's flawless. And I believe NDI can even capture like your webcam signal. I didn't do that. I just had my webcam going into the streaming PC because it's easier. And once again, you can Google how to set up a dual PC setup because it really depends on the hardware and your setup and space and whatever, you know, every situation is different. So I'm not going to cover the whole spread because that would be a 2-hour-long video. But point being, with the dual PC, in NDI is how you capture the video, and it's no money. It's wonderful, and it's like the best kept secret out there for streamers trying to make money off of you. Now the problem with NDI, I don't say it's too much of a problem, but it really with dual PC streaming. And this one nobody likes to talk about is your audio. And I'm going to go ahead and refer this because I'm not going to repeat it because he's going to do a better job than I can. And he just came out with this video last night, but AlphaGaming channel. And Mr. Harris Heller is a genius when it comes to things. Based on, I've gotten some, like my new camera, I've bought off of his recommendations. You know, guy knows his stuff. Huge fan. Now, of course, he is a paid sponsor by certain things, and I've disagreed with some of the stuff he's tried to sell because he's sponsored. But for the most part, the dude knows his stuff, and I like his message. But and I'm going to link this video down below. This guy is going to be able to tell you how to set up your audio on a dual PC stream, so I don't have to because it's complicated, and he already has it all done. He did the work for me, so I'm not going to do it. I'll just link to him, and he'll have whatever you got. Because once again, audio is a bitch to set up. Because you would think, oh, just having a mic, or like this is an XLR mic, you know, so I have to have an amplifier and a thing to read the signal and USB to the computer, and like there's multiple things going on, and I'm on just a single PC. All right, if I had a dual PC, now I've got to send the mic signal from my gaming PC to the streaming PC, and then the alert sounds from the streaming PC to me, and then my voice has to go to that and to that one. It's just, basically it's a nice little three-way triangular thing of, you know, gaming PC, streaming PC, and your face. That's it. And it's just getting the signals to go to those things where they need to go at the same time with no lag. And that's the problem. Is you can find easier, there's programs that can manage some of this stuff, but the lag and the sync is a problem. So there's no easy way to do the audio. There's going to be some work here. It's going to take you a few minutes to get it figured out and make sure you have no lag and all the audio is synced up, because there's nothing worse than watching somebody stream and then seeing them try to lip sync to an audio signal that's 5 to 10 seconds off. It's awful, and you're not going to stick around for that. So you don't want to be that guy. So do the work, a little bit of effort, and watch his video, and then figure out what you want to do with your setup. Do you want to just do a regular mic, or do you want to spend the money on a mixing board, or even the Go XLR? Like, there's options out there for you guys. Bear in mind, might get a little frustrating. Luckily, Harris Heller, his video, I wish I would have seen that a year ago, because it would have made it easier, but it still didn't cover everything. So you're still going to do a little bit more homework on your own, but thankfully he's done a great job of making that easy for some of the new guys. Another thing you got to look at is, I mean, think about this. Like, you're going to need, obviously, multi-monitors. I mean, really, in today's day, if you don't have a dual monitor set up, I'm kind of like, what are you doing with your life? How do you game and watch porn at the same time? Like, duh. You know, I've run a triple monitor setup for a long time, because it's just the way I do. I like to game. I like to have my stream and Discord on this thing. And then if I have an internet guy, I mean, 3 monitors to me is like, it's perfect. But you're probably going to want a third monitor if you're going to do a dual PC setup, because you're going to want your game on one monitor. I like to have my Discord and music or whatever's opening on another monitor, whatever computer it's hooked up to. And then your streaming PC has got to have its own monitor too, because obviously you have to turn on Windows and turn on the program and have your Stream Deck plugged into it to run the things, so you are going to need another monitor. And that means you're probably going to need another mouse and keyboard on your desk to manipulate things. Not true. So the program, go to Steam, because if you're a gamer, you should have Steam, duh. And the program is called Multiplicity. It's $20. And what this does is it's going to go through your Wi-Fi. It's going to go through your internet signal here. And what it does is it's going to be able to take 2 PCs, and you can have this program set up what your monitor layout is, and you can literally have your mouse and keyboard on that PC run both computers. Now, you're going to have to install Multiplicity on both streaming and the game PC to make this, you know, sync up. Duh. And there's a lot of YouTube. If you want to know how to do this, if you don't want to invest the $20, there's plenty of YouTube videos that will show you how to use Multiplicity, and you can see how great it is. So you can test if you want to spend your money on that or not. But if you're going to do dual PC setup, like, that's $20 very well spent, because you can run, say I said, mouse and keyboard will run both PCs flawlessly. And it's like having another monitor. Like, your mouse will just scroll over, like, no lag. It just runs. I mean, even the copy paste function from one PC will go to the next one. There's a lot of really cool options. It's wonderful. So if you're going to do dual PC setup, go ahead and drop $20 on that. Get yourself a Stream Deck, because you're not going to want to have to go mouse and keyboard over here to turn on OBS or whatever, or do your scene transitions. Stream Deck, Multiplicity. That's 2 things, like, I believe you must have for a dual PC setup, and that's, yeah, Multiplicity and the Stream Deck of some kind, because it's just going to make your life easier. And I know that sucks, because that's going to be, I mean, Stream Decks aren't cheap, but once it's one of those things, like, when you get one and you see how much easier it makes your life when it comes to streaming and adding and doing things, you're going to be like, yeah. And that's with a lot of things, you know, with PC, and, you know, things cost money, but how much better does it improve the quality of life? Or how much time does that? That's the big one. Time. How much time does this thing save you? Because time is the one I mean, you can make more money. You only have so much time in a day, and you will never get it back. So if I have to spend a little bit of money to save myself some time, once again, you do you, but time's a big factor to me, and I'm okay with spending some money to save myself time. You do your own thing. Every streamer and content creator is different. I'm just giving you my point of view and what I would recommend to save yourself a lot of headache. A little bit of money, a lot of headache saved. Anyways. Now, a dual PC setup, the audio, I mean, heck, we even haven't got into the actual, like, what should your second PC be? Alright, now your gaming PC is obviously whatever you want it to be. Hardware, I mean, you want a solid state drive probably, whatever, graphics card, whatever, gaming PC, that's on you. Whatever your budget can handle, blah. Streaming PC, this is where it gets fun. Because I've seen a lot of content creators and streamers who want to push the things they're sponsored by to get you to buy like this kind of PC or that for your streaming thing with the capture card. No, my friends, no. You don't need a lot of hardware for a streaming PC. A quad core I mean, you can get a cheap old AMD processor as long as it's quad core. That's gonna be my only thing. Get a quad core processor. I'm gonna say 8 gigs of RAM just to be safe. And like I said, it doesn't have to be DDR4. Just get 8 gigs of cheap ass RAM. You know, because like I said, all you're gonna be running is Windows and OBS, and your multiplicity thing, which doesn't use hardly. I mean, 3 programs is all you're gonna be running off of this thing, so it doesn't need to be fantastic. Of course, I run it on a solid state drive because, you know, just for boot times, I don't want a freaking 10-year-old processor to take 5 minutes to boot up Windows 10. It's just, solid state drives are dirt cheap. So say you want to build it yourself, you can either buy a Craigslist special like I did, and it worked just fine, or you can spend the money yourself and build yourself a crappy little box. It all depends on, once again, comes down to time. How much time do you want to spend doing this when it's really not? I mean, go buy a used PC. As long as it works and everything's not wrecked or whatever, you know, and especially from like a computer store. That's honestly like, and that's what this guy was. He was a computer store that was selling stuff on Craigslist, and that's why I went with him, because he guaranteed his stuff. And you don't need a capture card. All you're running is an Ethernet cord, and it's going to take that signal, and that quad core processor is just going to do process that, because you don't need a crazy processor to encode a stream at 6 megabits or whatever, 6,000, whatever the stream rate is that Twitch can handle. And that's honestly, until that changes, that's why what I'm recommending to you, this will work for the foreseeable future. Because right now, Twitch, Facebook, these content creating websites for streams are not allowing us to use crazy high bandwidth yet. Now, that's okay, because the more bandwidth needed to stream means more hardware. You guys can look up the tech specs, but right now, like 6,000, your bitrate of 6,000 is kind of what Twitch accepts right now, unless you're like a super partner and you're getting paid by Twitch, and I think you can bump your quality up. But for the rest of us average Joes just starting out to stream, your bitrate will never need to exceed 6,000 for the foreseeable future. And I think, honestly, that about wraps it up. With the dual PC setup, that's pretty much it. You just need 2 PCs. You don't need a capture card. Go to Harris Taylor's video on how to do your audio setup, because that's going to be the worst part of it. You're going to want to hook most of your stuff up to, like I said, your mic. Your mic's going to be on your gaming PC, or your mixing. Once I start even thinking about the audio, there's just so many options and ways you can do it. It's just, it sucks. Now, I guess to wrap this up, to go back to, I guess the point of the video was, in 2019 and going into 2020, is it worth it to do single or dual PC setup? And honestly, it comes down to your money. I mean, which one is better than the other? With the new processors coming out, I still think single PC is just where it's at. I personally think having all my stuff plugged into one PC that's got the hardware to handle all of it, it's just going to run better than, God, trying to have a whole, it's easier. It's so much easier when everything is run on one PC and you can just manage everything with a few clicks. It's easier than dealing with the hassle of a second PC setup. Because, don't get me wrong, when you get the second PC hooked up and your audio's good, like, you're kind of done from there, and it's not a lot of work anymore. But the downside is if something ever happens to the second PC and you have to, it's just once again, time and headache. I don't like having time and headache on my hands. So if I can spend some money to make my single PC handle everything, I would rather do that. Once again, that depends on your budget. and how you like to spend your time. If you don't want to make your single PC super overkill with a 16 core processor from AMD coming out soon, hopefully, you don't want to do that, so be it. If you want to do this dual PC setup and get your little ghetto rig going like I did, it'll work, and it'll work fine. But if something ever happens to it, now you've got to reconfigure all your stuff again. You do whatever works for you. I know this video is sort of long-winded, and I hope I kind of broke everything down as Barney style as I can. But that's really it, guys. It's that simple. It just comes down to your budget and the time you want to spend doing it. But personally, for 2019 and 2020, I'm sticking with single PC because I know the hardware's there. I mean, a 16-core processor is going to handle anything you can throw at it for the foreseeable future. So, with that being in mind, if you're going to spend some money to upgrade, that's what I'm going to recommend. And once again, I'm not an AMD fanboy at all. I've been Team Blue for my entire life, but it just comes down to if I can have everything in one, that's the option I'm going with. So AMD, please take my money and let me pre-order your processor, please. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or comments, God, I love feedback, and I do. I respond to 100% of the comments. That if you throw a comment on there, good, bad, whatever, I'm going to thumbs up and say something back. I promise you. If you have questions or comments, leave them below. I got that link to Harris Heller's video, so you can guys see how complicated the audio set. Because if you're going dual PC, watch that video, because you're going to need to know how to do that audio setting, because it's awful. And he does a great job Barney styling it. But watch that before you watch my video. Go watch his video, and that's when you need to start making your decision off of that. So thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, whatever, helps the channel grow. I'm going to have more videos coming out soon, especially when I upgrade that hardware. We can see how just sweet it works. I'm Gridsquare. Thank you guys for watching. Take it easy.